If you're new to 3D printing, you've probably looked at all the filaments and say to yourself, what does this mean? PETG, ABS, PLA, ASA, TPU. It can get really confusing really fast. In this video, I'm going to be explaining each of these filament types, what they're good at, what they're bad at, and when to use them most importantly. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which filament is best for your project. So let's get into it. Now you may be wondering yourself, what exactly is filament? Filament is the ink used by FDM 3D printers. It can have different strengths, temperatures, and uses. This is an example of some FDM 3D printer spools. The first filament we're going to be going over is PLA. PLA is easy to print, it comes in a lot of colors, and it has minimal warping. Warping is basically where the print barely peels up off the bed, making it not smooth adhesion. Some cons of PLA is that it can soften in hot environments, and it's not very impact resistant. So here is a few examples of what you can make with PLA. It's really good for little trinkets. Like this is a pencil stand in multicolor. This is made with silver PLA and white PLA. And it's good for making things that don't need a lot of impact resistance and things that can look cool. And I also have this little Patrick here. It's good for making little toys. Another thing, little banana. And it can also make PLA parts that don't need impact resistance or heat resistance. This is a CNC active project tray. All it does is hold bits and zero things. So it doesn't need to have a lot of impact resistance if it's just holding something. But if I were to put this outside or drop it on the ground, it would likely dent and warp if it was outside. That's why PLA is not good for that, and it's really good for just parts like this. So my overall recommendation for PLA is that you need to use it if you're just starting with 3D printing. There's not a lot of error with it, it can't warp, and that's why it's good for printing trinkets and stuff to get you learning about 3D printing and starting out. On to the next filament. Now we're moving on to PETG, or as many of us would say, PETG. This is an upgrade from PLA. It has more heat resistance, it's stronger than PLA, and it has chemical properties where it can resist chemicals. And it's just all out a better material than PLA. Some cons is that it strings a lot and it's slightly harder to print. So here are some PETG parts I have printed. This here is a sanding block for 90-degree corners. And this is really important to be in PETG because since it's a sanding block, it might take some scrapes, it might be outside, and it also might take some impact resistance from dropping and just general wear and tear, as you can see. And then here is a tool holder for a drill. This also needs to be in PETG because it's going to be on a drill, it's going to be in a work environment, it could get hit, it could get dropped, and it needs that little extra bit of impact resistance. Now on to ABS. ABS is an engineering material, it's very strong and durable, and it has a high heat resistance. The cons is that it can warp, you need an enclosure, and it's somewhat hard to print, especially if you don't have a heated chamber on your 3D printer. Now you may be wondering what exactly an enclosure is. It is a hood or a box that goes around your 3D printer that pretty much keeps the air in and keeps the air stable so that your print can't get air pushed up against it and push it and warp it off the build plate. Because again, warping happens from the inconsistency of air and it makes one part of the part cool quicker than the other part, causing it to literally warp up off the build plate. So here is an ABS part I print and sell. This is a drip mount for a resin 3D printer. And the reason I printed this in ABS, it needs to have that impact resistance because it's gonna maybe get dropped and it's gonna be in a shop environment, so you don't want it to be weak. And you may be wondering why not print it in PETG. And the reason is that this is gonna hold some weight if it's on a resin printer because the resin bed is already heavy enough, plus the resin weight. So you're gonna want something that has a high impact resistance, it's not gonna snap under that weight. So therefore I chose ABS to keep that nice balance of impact resistance and weight resistance. And ABS is good for automotive parts and things like that that don't need to be in outdoors, they just need to be strong and heat resistance. And a mention is ABS is not recommended as a first filament. It is a very complicated filament to print as you need an enclosure and you need to learn how to make it not warp and you need to have all the settings dialed in. So therefore I do not recommend this as a first filament, but if you do want to get into some automotive or functional stronger parts that can handle heat, ABS is a great choice for you. Now moving on to ASA. You can look at ASA like ABS, but it's outdoor friendly. It has the same qualities like heat resistance and impact resistance. It can sit out in the sun and not warp. It could be in rain and still be fine. It is literally outdoors friend. But some cons are you do still need an enclosure, and it's still a very hard filament to print like ABS. All right, so this is an ASA part right here. This sits in the hole where the seat goes on a bass boat. And the reason I printed this in ASA is because it needs to be in the sun all day, and this can really stand up to the sun, and it has the same structural qualities as ABS. This is also, you could use ASA for anything like outdoor signs, outdoor anything that needs to sit in weather or the sun, and it will not corrode like ABS will. ABS, when it gets heated up out in the sun, it will tend to crack much easier than ASA will. Now moving on to TPU, known as the flexible filament. This filament is overall durable, but doesn't have that high of a heat resistance. It's very, very flexible and pretty much good for gaskets and things of that matter. However, you can't print this if you have a Bowden extruder. If you don't know what a Bowden extruder is, it's pretty much the extruder that is not in the print head. It pushes it through a tube and then into your print head. Rather, on a direct drive extruder, the filament might still go through a tube, but the extruder is in your print head, not outside of it. When you have a Bowden extruder, your print head can be lighter, which can lead to faster print speeds, but it is less accurate. Now here are some TPU parts. As you can see, this is a prototype I've been working on. It is like a tube, which I have the bigger version here, but as you can see, it flexes very well. I can squish this thing together and it forms back out to its regular shape. Really flexible, really actually strong, even though it is flexible. It won't break when it's thick like this. And here is a massive tube, as you can see. It's still squishy, but one thing to note is, as far as tuning goes, you guys probably can't tell, but the inside of this tube is not perfectly solid like you'd see out of a PLA print, and that is just because TPU is really, really hard to print. There is surface imperfections in there, and that's just a side effect that comes along with TPU. A lot of people never get it to print exactly perfect just because it's such a complicated material to print. But some good things to print with it are like gaskets and things like this. I needed this to be flexible so it could go inside of something. So you flex it and it opens back up and it sticks in something. It needs to be flexible, and TPU is the perfect filament for that. And now here is an example of the TPU roll. As you can see, this filament can stretch. Like, it's all bendy, it's really weird. And if you have an AMS or whatever automatic material system like a CFS, this cannot work because it's so flexible that AMS gear is gonna want, instead of pushing the plastic, it's gonna want to fold it in half like this, making it to where those gears are just gonna grind and it's never gonna go through the AMS. They do sell harder TPU, but it's not as flexible and it's harder to get what you want with the AMS. So on this, you'd have to print on an external spool, and then on the bed slinger, you just put it in the direct drive extruder. Finally, which one should you buy? If you're a beginner, pick PLA. It's easy to print and it comes in a lot of colors, so you can print a lot of trinkets and just cool parts. If you need strength, pick PETG. It's very easy to print, and it's just a lot of strength and a little bit of heat resistance without having to have an enclosure like ABS, which is the next one. If you need heat resistance, pick ABS. It can be in hot environments. It has impact resistance and anything you need. If it needs to be outside, pick ASA. Has really good UV and rain and weather resistance, which makes it good for garden accessories and things like that. And finally, if you need flexibility, pick TPU. So there you have it. Those are the 5 most common filaments you'll see in the 3D printing world. Remember, there isn't just one best filament. Each filament is designed for different jobs, and you need to pick which filament you need for your certain occasion. And let me know down below which one of these filaments you use and what you use it for. If you liked any of the products in this video, make sure to go check out KoltonCraft.com, link in the description below. Thank you for watching.